today's webinar, Search, Social and Now E-Commerce, Why Amazon Should Be Part of Your Advertising Strategy in association with Kenshu. Over the next hour, we'll be hearing from Oren Stern, General Manager, E-Commerce Solutions at Kenshu, with his analysis of the part that Amazon and e-commerce advertising can play in advertising strategies. Joining Oren on the call today is Artem Magarian, Associate Account Director EMEA at media agency OMD. At the end of the session, we'll be moving into a Q&A session. So ahead of that, let me explain how to ask any questions you may have. On the control panel on your screen, you'll see a chat box. Write your question in that box and press send, and we'll aim to get to as many questions as we can today. The session is recorded, so I'd remind you that after the webinar finishes, we'll be sending out an email with a link so you can watch it again whenever it's convenient for you. Before we move into today's presentation, let me tell you a little bit about our speakers today. Oren Stern joined Performance Marketing Technology Kenshu earlier this year in order to head up the e-commerce division. He's now working with brands all over the world to run their Amazon campaigns through the Kenshu platform, following the Search and Social Specialists foray announced in July this year into e-commerce marketing with Amazon. He'll also be calling on Artem Magarian, Associate Account Director EMEA at media agency OMD, for his insights and thoughts as well. At OMD, Artem works with a number of brands to run their Amazon advertising. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome our first speaker today, Oren Stern, General Manager, E-commerce Solutions at Kenshu. Oren, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you very much, Chloe. Thank you so much. So today we wanted to discuss with you a number of topics. We'll walk you through e-commerce, the market today, the Amazon opportunity, OMD's experience and journey in this space, and share some of our best practices in this rapidly evolving space. But before we dive right into it, I want to launch, ask you a quick question that will also help us kind of, help focus our presentation here today. Chloe, do you mind running this poll now?
So I'm just launching that poll now, and you should be able to see coming up on your screens the poll. So the question for this poll is, are you currently using Amazon marketing services? And there are 4 possible answers. The first possible answer is no, and we have no plans to. No, but it is something we should consider. Yes, but it's still early days. And yes, we're spending a substantial amount on Amazon. So I'm just going to give you a few more seconds to answer that poll if you would like to. And then in a moment, I'll just close the poll. And then after that, we'll be sharing the answers so that you can see them. So about 70% of you have now voted. So I'm going to close the poll and you should be able to see the answers. Oren, I'm sure you can see them there, but as you can see, 8% said no and they have no plans to use our Amazon marketing services. 44% say no, but it's something we should consider. 31% yes, but it's still early days. And 16% say yes, we're spending a substantial amount on Amazon. Oren, over to you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chloe. Okay, so let's dive right into it. So we all know what the shopping experience used to be like. You walk down High Street, and if you saw something nice in the window, you went in. Advertising was pretty much broadcast to all, and it was very hard to measure. Obviously, today the market is, the landscape is very, very different than that. With the rapid rise of this new channel, e-com, a brand or retailer's website has, basically essentially become the new storefront to showcase and advertise your products. In this reality of the new digital storefront has really given way to brand new shopping experience for consumers. That's exciting, but difficult for advertisers to navigate. it may be difficult, but it's a world rich with rich shopping experiences. One where discovering new products and offerings can happen anywhere, pretty much anytime, and can be specifically tailored to your context and specific needs. It's also a highly socially connected world where pretty much all your shopping experiences, preferences, likes and dislikes, sentiments and emotions are many times shared for everyone to see. There's an immense product discovery happening in all these rich shopping experiences across multiple channels. And the experience is really increasingly personalized to the consumer themselves. It's also, that the customer or consumer journey is really no longer linear like it used to be in one single channel. Consumers jump, from one place to the other, from social media to the retailer side, or on the hunt for for the products, or really just making impulsive purchases on the go. So, for example, we used to have these product listings and text ads in search, and now those have become a lot more native and engaging in the format where consumers can really find and discover products quickly with really just a few search terms. But even beyond that, destinations like Facebook and Pinterest and other environments where consumers can discover and consider and engage with products. The overall experience across all of these platforms have become a lot more graphic and visual, where ads that are shown are native, they're engaging, they're a lot more personalized to meet the user's needs. In this new era, I'd like to say many times that finding that idea for a birthday gift or a home improvement project is pretty much at your fingertip at any point. In addition to what we talked about, search ads for discovery and social for consideration and etc. The online shopping experience has become really a lot more immersive, with things like voice activated platforms, for example, that are available pretty much across all stages of the consumer journey. With platforms like Alexa and then Siri and Cortana and the Google Assistant. As these new shopping avenues, there's really a lot more of a tailored experience for the consumer, but also one that is starting to become hard to navigate for the advertisers. With all these new media outlets and changes in the market, it's really hard to deny that e-com is now pretty much a native advertising channel next to search and social. And it really is hard to ignore it anymore. While Amazon is at the heart of the experience, and we'll talk a lot about Amazon today, it isn't the only player in this channel that advertisers need to pay attention to. There's Walmart and Jet.com and eBay and Best Buy and Target and Tesco's, and all of which are planning for and thinking about how to better focus product advertising efforts and build this channel into a viable and really solid outlet for brands to rely on to deliver results. All of this truly proves that it's more important than ever to be present online in pretty much across multiple areas, and that online advertising is now really your digital storefront. This is where brands must showcase and advertise products to truly be successful. E-com has, as a channel, really provides the perfect storm where consumer intent and engagement intersect, where they really come together. Brands now have an advertising destination to both engage their consumers at the point of purchase and really throughout the purchase cycle. You really don't no longer need to guess what your consumer or what your customer wants. They literally tell you exactly what it is that they want, and you really need to only worry about effectively engaging with them. But with all of that comes a pretty busy world, and really rising above the noise in this new environment is something that requires you as a brand and the advertiser to take special care and take specific actions. So when we talked about the fact that online and the storefront and all these media outlets emerging destination and how important they are, but really the main player here is Amazon, and it's providing a major opportunity for brand. And what is Amazon? I mean, Amazon is a marketplace. It's a retail and content company, and it's rapidly becoming the next digital advertising powerhouse. And it's in our experience, it's quickly proving itself as a concrete avenue for product ads that really resonate well with the consumers at the end. According to an eMarketer research and a recent report that they advertised, Amazon has a massive digital ad business, and that business is really quickly growing. According to that same, to that research, that retail giant, and you can see it on this slide, is projected to hit about $1.6 billion in digital ad revenue this year alone. And it has the two leading DSPs in the U.S. It has ad properties both on and off Amazon.com, and it's really powered at the end of the day by the customer data. And with that, and we see that with our customers using Amazon as an advertising channel, it's really proving to be able to boost sales and drive revenue. Also, from the same research and food for thought about the scale and the sheer growth of this, Amazon is now earning more digital ad revenue than some of the social ad destinations that are already established out there. And it's expected to rise to 3.19 that you see here on this slide in $billion by 2019. At the heart of all of this, exponential growth is really only caused by increased shopper behavior, by the commitment and engagement of people going into Amazon and shopping. It's really clear that Amazon is becoming the powerhouse that everybody kind of needs to pay attention to. So, Amazon, there's a few different ad destinations in Amazon, but today we're really going to talk about AMS. We'll focus on what AMS is, or Amazon Marketing Services. AMS is an ad destination that's conversion focused and product focused. It's key in driving sales, and it has three major ad types: sponsored products, headline search ads, and product display ads. And each one of them serves a different purpose, and I'll explain them in a second. So on these three ad types, two of them, headline search and sponsored products, are CPC, or cost per click based ads, and they're keyword targeted, appearing on a product focused search results page. While the third one, product display ads, is basically more of an intent, or more of a kind of a competitive focus, complementary product focus ad. While these ad formats function very similarly to search advertising, they're also very different for quite a few reasons. First of all, the terms consumers use to look for products are completely different from a regular search query on a search engine. These terms are, in many cases, are more bottom of the funnel terms, and since shoppers are looking for something that they want to quickly transact on and look for something to buy. Amazon is also a conversion focused as an advertising destination. So if the product or the product page being linked to doesn't perform well, it becomes ineligible to show. So advertisers can't simply buy an ad type. Every product attribute and the product itself must correspond and really encourage conversion. So it has to include competitive pricing, and you need to be aware of product being in stock, and et cetera. And last but not least, if the attributes of the product aren't buttoned up, Amazon will not show the product at all, and the brand's performance will suffer. So again, at the heart of the story of advertising on Amazon is this product focus, and we'll talk a little bit later about how Kensho addresses some of those. But I think it's important to think about e-com advertising in this context of product-driven advertising. The reason for popularity for AMS, as I mentioned, it's not just the ad types, but it's because it's important as a one-stop shop, if you will, for consumers, also for product research, not just for product purchase. These search ads on Amazon, are even more likely to drive sales because shoppers really come in a shopping mode, but they can come in at any point in their customer discovery lifecycle, whether it's discovering, comparing, considering, and of course, it's sometimes just being a click away from purchasing. So, that popularity is tied to the ability to transact, but also to the fact that you can really, discover and understand more about the products as you browse through Amazon. Everything that Amazon is doing with its advertising business, these ad destinations, the large database of customer shopping habits, the massive audience, and really hyper engaged consumers, shows that Amazon provides a true opportunity for marketeers to really meet their shoppers at that crucial point of intent and engagement, where those two intersect and really hit well and engage the customer. You see the stat here, but with 83 million monthly visitors, Amazon is it's really unavoidable in this world of e-com. Leading the way and really carving out an e-commerce channel in the market. And we at Kensho really believe that this is set to be the third pillar, if you will, in digital marketing alongside search and social. So what we're going to do now is switch gears a little bit, and I'll want to ask Arthur to jump in, and Arthur and I will talk a little bit about OMD's experience and how OMD is working with their clients in this new exciting channel. Arthur, how you doing?
Thanks, Oren. Thanks, and hi everyone. So at OMD EMEA, perhaps like just following the list of the questions here, I'll tell you a little bit about what I do. I'm managing a number of clients, mainly the performance discipline, and that would include Amazon, but not only search, shopping, social, or any other digital channel, pretty much. The main goal in my client portfolio is growth and efficiency, I guess, as for most of the e-commerce brands out there. And we've been partnering with Kensho for quite a few years now, trying to deliver these goals for our brands. Amazon and AMS specifically is relatively new areas. So as for everyone else, we just jumped on board not so long ago when Amazon finally made this option available to the marketeers. And now what we can see that most of the brands are really very seriously considering to get on board if they're not already on it. It's definitely an area that is going to grow very rapidly within the next 6 to 12 months. And I imagine, within a year, this will be a very different conversation, not explaining what Amazon is, but rather going into details of how we can capitalize on the opportunity that is there. I guess going to the next question about why brands want to start advertising on Amazon. For any business, the main one word answer is profit, and Amazon is a great platform for the brands to drive cost-efficient sales. I think that's evident by the fact that the brands are now trying to get on Amazon, setting up their brand stores and making sure that they are present in the organic space. So that's kind of a no-brainer for anyone. The question about why they want to get into the paid advertising, it lies with what happens in the overall e-commerce. Amazon is growing rapidly, and the competition is there, is growing very rapidly. It's a very interesting platform because the brands themselves can be competing on equal terms with small and big third-party retailers on the same products, and they have very little control or leverage they can apply to manage the situation. So I guess battling the competition is essentially one of the biggest motivators for many brands getting in the space. And the question that it brings along so far, like one of the first questions we hear is about, okay, you know, is it really necessary if we're doing really well in the organic space and we have a massive presence? And to me, this sounds like the conversation that many brands would be having some years ago when discussing the benefits of the paid search versus the SEO, you know, whether there is incrementality, is it really worth to invest this money if we can just invest less and get better margins? And the answer is definitely yes. I guess you know, there are no sufficient stats yet to prove or like to provide kind of visual representation of the incrementality on the AMS on Amazon. But I think again, in about 6 months time or 12 months time, we will see this coming through and we'll see a lot of proof that this is working. It's definitely working for our clients. We do see it. It's still relatively early days. We've been about 6 months or just over dealing with AMS specifically. And as the technology solutions, they develop the appetite of the brands, and also their strategies are changing. How does Amazon fit into the client's marketing mix? So I guess this is a really interesting question. This is something that is changing. The answer to this question is changing every day. I guess by the time we finish this, call, the answer might be completely different. What we've seen in our experience is that a lot of the brands will treat Amazon in a one-way kind of with one strategic objective. It's either promoting, say, new products, seasonal products, or more likely, more often, it would be a depletion of the stock. So, they have a lot of, especially for the retail brands that I'm dealing with, they would have a lot of items leftovers from the last season, from the holiday season, whatever, and they would be trying to push it through their online retailers, and Amazon would be a big part of it. Obviously, there were like drawbacks to that because they would have to offer lower price points, and it's definitely not the best thing for the brands to do unless they have to. What we're seeing today, though, as Amazon is growing and the user purchase journey is growing, as Oren mentioned earlier, the user's purchase journey is no longer linear. The user can go to Amazon to research for the product, and they can also end their purchase journey on Amazon. But more likely than that, they will be exposed to multiple digital touch points on that journey. So they will jump from channel to channel, from Google Shopping to Amazon to compare the prices, and then they will be impacted by another piece of advertising that will be served to them programmatically. So we definitely see that this impacts the overall changes in the user behavior, impacts also the client marketing tactics that apply when they come to Amazon. And I think the fact that the third-party retailers are also occupying the space very aggressively, it pretty much elevates the role of the Amazon in the overall marketing mix. So it's very much an emerging equal marketing channel, just like any other digital marketing channel, and perhaps even more because of the fact that the users on Amazon, they're already in the purchase mode. They're very often, gone through the awareness and consideration and are ready to purchase. A similar question, but slightly different. What are the objectives on Amazon versus the other platforms? So I think I pretty much answered this question. But again, the objectives are changing as the user behavior changes, and also as the brands are becoming more and more aware about the importance of Amazon. With 40% of the searches initiated on Amazon versus Google, it is really important to make sure that there is a brand presence across all of these steps on the user purchase journey. And another important thing, and I think this is something that is coming our way, and in 2018 we're probably likely to see more, that brands will treat Amazon as completely integral part of their marketing channel mix, to ensure that the seamless brand experience wherever the user is. Because again, going back into the third-party presence, third-party retailers, well, we see that very often brands that were reluctant to initially put out all of their stock to Amazon because of the lower margins and like less control, now they are forced to do that because otherwise the third-party retailers, well, they're bringing in this inventory that they didn't want to put it out there. So it is very much getting, you know, in the play. It's growing rapidly, and we're definitely going to see more of that coming through. And are there any questions, or Andy, can you see any questions on these particular areas before I jump into the last one?
No, I think we'll address questions a little later, but I do have a couple of questions for you in a second, but I'll let you address the last bullet here, and then let me ask you something.
Okay, the most important, so the benefits of Kensho. So the benefits of Kensho, we've been, just to give the audience a little bit of a background, we have been working, as I said, with Kensho for many years on other channels. On Amazon for AMS, we just onboarded in July, pretty much as the solution was being developed, and we served as a design partner for the Kensho's API integration with Amazon for AMS. And the key benefit that we have seen we've taken out of it is obviously the scalability. For the marketers, for the 31% plus 16% that already work with Amazon or with AMS, you know, these people will probably know the challenges that you face when you work on the AMS user interface. It's not really designed for large advertisers, large brands. It's probably more designed for these third-party retailers that would be doing just like individual business with Amazon. And I think the proof of that is that Amazon is realizing, see the demand is there. They need to turn into better solutions which are not available there on their side. So Kensho definitely helped to tackle that challenge, the scalability. We have managed to increase the volumes of both the traffic and also the sales accordingly by double-digit numbers, actually double-digit times, so over 10 times. And what we're seeing also now, that as Kensho is also offering more and more features of their solution, we're able to manage these activities much more effectively. So that includes both optimization, whether it's the bid optimization, setting the rules to, you know, optimize towards certain targets, KPIs, and also in terms of certain features which are not particularly available on AMS. So for example, Kensho provides us the opportunity to see in a bulk all of the list of the products that are not being served, and for the reasons why they are not being served. The way we utilize this information is that we take it and we pass it on back to the brands, and then their teams will internally work to make sure that all of these you know, the issues that prevented the products from being served, they are addressed, and then we get a much better quality of product lists. And my personal favorite benefit, I guess, is you know, just the convenience of it, the convenience that you are able to see all of the channels next to each other, no matter whether it's Amazon, and you know, Amazon is a famously a walled garden, which is very limited in terms of what it gives out to the marketeers or brands, the visibility. So it's really important for us to be able to put the different channels, Google and Amazon, next to each other, at least visually, and say, well, okay, this is definitely clear what's performing where, and then the marketing strategy will be adjusted accordingly. So we work very closely with the brand, and the brand works closely with Amazon directly on their organic sites while we're covering the paid side. And I think this creates, with Kensho together, this is creates a very nice circle where we can address first of all spot the issues and then address the issues on a scale.
Thank you very much, Arthur. That's great. I appreciate that. I do have one question, comment. I mean, one of the things we're seeing, and I've seen this come up in questions from clients. We're seeing that I think the budgets going into this, back regards to the marketing mix, that these are new budgets going into this to this space, coming from e-commerce and from traditional, more traditional offline and non-performance marketing budgets. Do you see that same trend as well in your clients?
Yes, definitely. I think the issue with the budgets is very much tied up to the structure of the brands. Many of the, especially larger brands, they have a very siloed operational model internally, when e-commerce, or rather I'd say digital marketing, is treated separately from the e-commerce, and within digital marketing you'll see the branding and the performance sides, and all of the budgets are kind of put in separate buckets with little flexibility of interacting with each other. To your point, we do see that the clients are now looking into how they can consolidate and make sure that they leverage the efficiencies across different channels. So the budgets that come into Amazon, and this is probably very different for the brands, but from my experience, they do come from a little bit kind of scraps from here and there, because in the meantime the brands are trying to kind of put the business cases together to prove that Amazon is a working platform, working marketing platform. And luckily many of our brands that we already work on Amazon with, they already got this point proved internally, and it's just a matter of time where we will be able to see a substantial part of the budgets. And I can see like 16% of the audience answers that they are already spending a substantial amount of money. So I don't know if this is substantial as such, or it's in comparison with other digital channels. But yeah, the budgets are flowing in. They're flowing in from everywhere. But brands address it in different ways, whether they scrap or whether they create just a completely new bucket for Amazon.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Arthur. This is great. It's always great to hear from our clients, and it's really thrilling to see the results that you've experienced utilizing our Kenshu's e-commerce platform to bring this Amazon advertising experience to a new level. As I said, in our experience so far with our clients in e-commerce and on Amazon, we have some great experiences. And so one of the things I'm going to share with you shortly is a little bit of our best practices. But before we dive right into that, and considering the high percentage of people that are either considering using Amazon or already using Amazon, and one of the things, especially for the ones that are using Amazon, if you can share with us a little bit of kind of some of your bigger challenges in AMS today. As you can see, these are some of the challenges we've seen around limited insights, making reporting difficult, creation and management of campaigns. So I'd be happy to, if you don't mind, that'll help me in the next section, talking a little bit more about our best practices. So we have another quick poll question for you, Chloe, if you don't mind engaging our listeners with this poll.
Yes, in fact, it's now up on your screens. The second poll today, the question is, what is your biggest challenge with AMS today? There are 5 options. Limited insights make reporting difficult. Creation and management of campaigns is cumbersome. It's difficult to optimize budgets. Getting information on specific product performance. And the 5th option is other. I'll just give you a few more moments to answer that if you would like to. And I'll then close the poll in a moment. And then I'll be sharing the answers with you shortly. So I'm closing that and I'm sharing the answers. Warren, I'm not sure if you can see that, but 24% said that limited insights make reporting difficult. Creation and management of campaigns is cumbersome. That was chosen by 38%. 10% said it's difficult to optimize budgets. 17% that it's about getting information on specific product performance, and then 10% said something else altogether. So I'll pass that back to you now, and I'll close the polls. You can carry on, Aaron.
Great, thank you very much, Chloe. Yeah, this is great and great insights. It's interesting. I'll say that when we launched this program, definitely and running with Kenshu's Ecom, the first and foremost limitation that we heard our clients say was that the limited insights and the ability to report, whether it's accessing the specific data for a specific date range, or just seeing a holistic view of performance, was something that was hard. And yeah, I mean, and right behind it came the creation and management of campaigns. It's interesting to see that the mix here is kind of a little bit the other way around, but I think that's it's very insightful. And I think some of the stuff that I'll talk about in a second in terms of the things that we recommend in terms of best practices will definitely dovetail into that. And yeah, I mean, last but not least, we're here around getting information on specific product performance. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, advertising on Amazon and ecom is all about product and product focused advertising, and so being able to better understand how you're performing is something that we've invested quite a bit in trying to make happen. So with that in mind, I will jump right into our best practices. So some of the best practices and lesson learned that we've gathered over the last year or so. Let's start with keywords. So when you want to run campaigns on AMS, really what's the best way to decide what keywords to add and really how to manage them. So one best practice we found is to harvest, is finding the right way to harvest keywords. And one of the ways to do that is using Amazon's automated campaigns, where you do that, brands can see what searches drove the most value for their activity, which searches drove the most sales, and which searches drove the most clicks and awareness. Once this information is basically made available to you, the brand, you can take these insights and you can use them to harvest the right keywords and basically seed your manual optimization and your manual campaigns. It's also possible to use insights to find negative keywords in the same way to help drive the right traffic to your products. And I've gleaned on some of the questions later on, and I'll touch a little bit more around some of that stuff in the Q&A session. It's also useful to utilize different keywords match types and really create campaigns with different match types to further harvest pretty much the most relevant keywords. You start with broad terms to give brands maximum traffic exposure, and it's good to see which ones are also driving sales. And then phrase and exact keywords will prompt ads to more specific and targeted audiences. And at the end of the day, often driving higher conversion rates, but on a smaller overall volume. And really, one of our best practice here is to use a combination and to basically find the right keyword portfolio. And last but not least, here in this section is if you're a user of Kenshu's search platform, you can harness some of the keywords and terms coming from search and on other channels to seed your program. And as Arthur mentioned, the ability to sort of look at that across channels is something that gives you a good perspective on that performance of keywords. So keywords being an important target, way of targeting clients on AMS. The keywords is obviously key, but the next thing, which is as I said, at the heart of product-driven advertising, is products, right? And what we found is it's really extremely important to focus on your products and see which products are, what products to promote, and really understand that in the data, not guess, but really see that through the data. You shouldn't assume what's the best ASIN. ASIN is the Amazon SKU, for those of you who are not familiar with the Amazon nomenclature. Don't assume what are the ASINs that you should be using. use our product insights and to see that in the data itself. So to do so, what we recommend for the brand is to consider giving more more products the opportunity to drive sales. Give more ASINs or more products a fighting chance, and see which ones are more suited to be promoted on AMS. Also, one additional thing that you can do, obviously leveraging Kenshu's solution, is use reporting and ad specific insights to understand which products or which ASINs are being promoted and which ones that are being promoted are driving the best results. So keywords and brands. Obviously, the next question here will be around bidding, right? So what's when you're bidding on keywords, especially now during the holiday season, you must really bid strategically and bid aggressively. There's a massive audience out there shopping online literally right now, and demand is really growing significantly over the next few weeks. So with that rise in demand, obviously competitiveness of the auctions is going to grow. So first of all, on Amazon, there's this feature called Bid Plus. So enable Bid Plus on your manual campaigns to help increase your chances of winning that top search placement and drive conversions. Secondly, think about increasing the bids now. We're just about a week away from Black Friday, so activity is rapidly increasing as we speak. So start now, capture those shoppers as they're browsing, and help them find the best gifts for their friends and family. In line with that is budgets, right? So as best practice to round out our what we're going to recommend here, we suggest that you pay close attention to continuously adjusting your budgets over this upcoming period. In 2016, we saw a number of clicks increase by 75%, and quarter over quarter, and attributed sales shot up 125% from Q3 to Q4. So what we recommend is you really should expect growth in demand, and make sure that budgets reflect that. And really to ensure the campaigns keep on running, check that spend at least once a day, but sometimes multiple times a day. And we enabled you to do that. We believe that checking budgets intraday and adjusting and fixing those in the next few weeks obviously is obviously critical. So we talked a little bit about best practices. What I'll do to kind of round up our talk today is talk a little bit about what we do at Kenshu and our e-com solution, and give you a little bit of an overview of that. So as you can see in the slide here, wanted to give you a few words about Kenshu and who we are. And at the end of the day, we invest a lot of time and effort into really understanding, and as Arthur mentioned, really understanding the platforms that we work with. And we feel we provide best experience and results across those for our clients. We orchestrate advertising for pretty much the world's leading media platforms, including Google and Facebook and Pinterest and obviously now Amazon and Microsoft, Bing, etc. And then these platforms have really the most significant audiences out there and the most powerful digital advertising formats. We at Kenshu activate these media platforms and orchestrate campaigns to accelerate team effectiveness and increase business impact. We're specialists. We're a SaaS platform, SaaS technology platform focused on helping drive results for digital marketeers. We pretty much invest about 20% of our revenue back into our product and R&D, and we're always looking for new and innovative ways to leverage new opportunities for our clients. And obviously Amazon has been one of those key pillars. But we don't only build stuff on our own. We understand we live in a complex ecosystems. We have about 100+ partners that we make sure that we provide the flexibility to integrate into your legacy systems, and obviously provide new and exciting technologies to best of breed technologies to bring on board. So in terms of e-com specifically, we create our e-com offering basically provides clients with the ability to, first of all, get detailed insights, comprehensive campaign management, and sophisticated optimization tools, in line with what Kenshu's strengths are and within this Amazon platform. Within these key capabilities and leveraging these key capabilities, Kenshu really solves for or focused on the product-driven or product-focused advertising, as I mentioned before. We know that advertising in e-com is not just about campaigns or ad, and it's really about the products. So understanding which products to promote and how they perform, and reporting on them, and then driving and activating based on the product is something that we know how to do. We understand e-commerce and product advertising, and we act as a strategic partner, as Arthur mentioned, working both on the platform side in close partnership with these platform providers, as well as closely working with you, our clients, our brands, and the agencies, and driving value. We understand this world is evolving fast, and e-com is new, and we understand the importance of products, and we built our e-commerce solution to focus on that strategic product advertising and e-commerce as its own channel, and that includes the technology, but also expertise in our teams, in our research and optimization, as well as our strategic managed services and transitional services to help drive the adoption of e-com for our clients. And really, we're a cross publisher, cross marketing platform, and so with Kenshu, pretty much you can go deep into each one of those channels, as well as go across Google and Bing and Yahoo and Facebook and Pinterest and others. So then this is a unique and valuable view that when you're starting, when you go in and you're thinking about the cross between PLAs and DPAs, or product listing ads on Google and DPA and Facebook, and then now e-com and AMS and Amazon, being able to look across that and provide both the perspective and optimization is key. So as a recap and key takeaways to remember, this market is changing fast. Arthur alluded to that. We see that every day that we wake up, we eat, breathe, and think e-com. So this market is evolving, and it is becoming that third leg in the stool, side by side with search and social, as making Amazon that next leading destination. We're seeing brands considering e-com as a channel, and you all responded to that. I think a high percentage of you are either already using this or leveraging, or considering leveraging Amazon. And so we believe that we can help you drive great results, and we see great results in clients driving their marketing and digital spend on Amazon. Products should be the center of your advertising and e-commerce advertising, and here at Kenshu we have the experience and the knowledge and the expertise both in the technology and, as I mentioned, in the strategic services and engagement side to help you be successful and really help you drive results in this new exciting channel. So with that in mind, Chloe, I'm going to hand it back to you to open the lines and maybe get our clients, our customers and listeners to ask some questions.
That's great. Thanks very much, Aaron, and also Arthur, for a really interesting overview of AMS and how it can work for brands. So before we start in on the Q&A session, quick reminder to anyone else who has a question on how to ask it. On the control panel on your screen, you'll see a chat box. Write your question there and press send. And if your question is directed to one person in particular, then please do mark that. We'll aim to answer as many questions as we can today, but if we don't get to yours, we'll follow up offline later. So first question. A question for you, I think, Aaron. I'm responsible for merchandising and Amazon advertising falls into my remit. Would you suggest this actually sits with our advertising and/or digital team?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that, and I was alluding to that earlier when in the question and discussion with Arthur around the budgets and where the budgets come from. I think that we're seeing spend coming from multiple different areas, and we think that the ability to manage Amazon and Amazon advertising, at the end of the day, can fall in multiple places, but the ability of the e-com team to look at this holistically and look at all the different e-com publishers is something that's important. But we also at the same time think that the advertising and the digital team can, by being able to look across the various channels and look at e-com and then also look at search and social, can help provide that cross view across the channels and help drive the right decisions.
That's great, thank you. This question I think is probably for both of you, but Owen can ask you to start off. What's your point of view on the Amazon stores and their integration into advertising?
Yeah, Arthur, I'd be curious at your perspective in this as well. But in my perspective, Amazon stores, first of all, is a unique opportunity and relatively new opportunity that Amazon launched and give brands the ability to kind of showcase their offerings in a more appealing and attractive way to clients, and not just a specific product page, but really give more of a brand experience. I think this is a little bit akin more to some of the sort of organic world as opposed to really paid media. But at the same time, I think that tying together paid media with the Amazon stores really help drive conversion. And again, at the end of the day, one of the great benefits we see for advertisers on Amazon is the ability to drive return on ad spend and great results there. And so I think the Amazon store helps improve the consumer experience, help improve stickiness for obviously clients on Amazon, and then in turn help drive conversion and brand recognition.
Yeah, sorry. I think I would agree. Yeah, I would agree with you completely. Today, I think again, as Amazon emerges and as the user behavior changes, I think Amazon stores are a great way to ensure the brand experience, the consistency of it, and just alignment across all of the digital channels. I think a lot of brands do realize that and they stop using Amazon as a sales window rather than just making sure that it's part of its overall the brand's ecosystem. So they definitely would be helpful. And if you go to Amazon, say look into the Levi's store, you will probably forget that you are on Amazon, and you'll be completing the purchase within Amazon because it's so consistent. It has the same messaging, it has the same assets, and the branding itself, it's very seamless.
That's great, thank you. Next question. We spend a significant amount on Amazon, but probably not as much as some other brands. Are we still able to use Kenshu? Oren, I think that's one for you.
Yeah, of course the answer is yes. But I'll say the advertising on Amazon and e-com and AMS is still nascent. And we see a lot of brands just sort of starting and trying to figure out their strategy around it. Obviously, we believe they're great results for brands and for our clients advertising on Amazon. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gone into this space. But yeah, you can absolutely start small. We provide the ability to scale from very small to very large, and really the ability to drive value from pretty much the first dollar you spend, and provide you both the initial visibility, and as you grow, provide you with the ability to scale more efficiently and optimize better, etc. Which is part of the course for Kenshu Solutions.
That's great, thanks. Oren, we now have two questions around a similar theme, so I'm going to ask them both together. First question is, what's the average return on investment for AMS for fashion brands? And the second question is, what's your experience of average return on investment on AMS spend, we're generating a 6-to-1 ratio, which feels low.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the average return on investment is something that varies, and it does depend on how you're running your program and the scale, and the type of products that you're bringing into the mix. But we're definitely seeing the return on ad spend, the ROI, depending on how you call your KPI, ACoS, ROI, return on ad spend, all of the above. We're seeing very good results across the board with clients that are leveraging our solution and then going into Amazon and into AMS. So happy to engage specifically and explain exactly how you get there. Sometimes it's a journey because it does require some fine tuning of which products you're using and how you're tackling them and what kind of strategies you use. But there is great potential. I mean, we're seeing this in some cases outperform some other channels or some of the other channels that we use in terms of especially around return on ad spend and conversions.
And if I may add on this, I think indeed, the ratio that has been provided there, whether it's good or bad, will completely depend on the brand, on what you're trying to take out of your advertising efforts and how you're managing it. That being said, for fashion brands specifically, the latest changes. So I understand Amazon has now rolled out the headline search ads. They opened it to fashion, which was closed up until now. So I think that will be another factor that might be impacting of what kind of return you can get, because obviously a higher impact banners on the top might be a very useful tool to use.
Yeah, and I'll just add, just to wrap that up and hand it back to you, Chloe. I think that absolutely 6-to-1 seems low. So we definitely think that there's a long way that you can improve that if that's the ratio you're operating under.
That's great. Some very useful advice there, I'm sure. Next question is a best practice question. Do brands bid on their own branded phrases on Amazon, or is it best to stick to more generic keywords? Oren, could you start us off on that?
Yeah, sure. And Arthur, I'll be interested to hear your opinion on that. I think that the answer is pretty much both. The awareness and just being picked up need to bid on generic. But again, because this is a product-focused universe, you want to be able to, you want to be able to drive the specific users to what what you want them to look for, and because there is so much noise around, you want to be able to focus and drive a lot more of that generic specific as well. So I would say it's a mix. You probably need to build the right mix between brand and non-brand, generic and non-generic. But it's would definitely think that it's both, probably leaning towards the specific rather than the generic.
Yeah, and what we do, so it really varies from client to client, very much depending on the advertising, the tactical objectives. I would say in an ideal world, you probably want to cover everything, and depending whether you want just to drive very cost-efficient sales or whether you want to fight the competition, you'll be looking into included both brand and non-branded. Across my client portfolio, we use both. We go from the brand headlines, head terms, to any kind of product names up to the ASINs as a keyword. I guess a good place to start if you're just starting your AMS would be with automatic targeting for some time, just to kind of get a feel of what the users are looking for, and it will also give you some time to look around and see what the competition is like.
That's great. Well, I'm afraid we're out of time now. I'm aware that we've still got some questions coming in, and we will follow up on those after the session offline. So I'd like to end today's session by thanking all of our listeners for taking part and for your very many questions. I'd also like to thank our speakers today, who are Oren Stern, General Manager E-Commerce Solutions at Kenshu, and Arta Magarian, Associate Account Director EMEA at OMD. Thank you to you both for being with us today. We'll follow up by email with the link to the on-demand webinar, which you can listen again to at your convenience. So thank you all once again for taking part in this webinar. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.